Hi, this is Peter Godinez, your host of Your Pivot Journey. Before all this pandemic happened, sometime in March, I had a chance to have a nice conversation with Coach Marv Dunphy, and I'll just call him the godfather of volleyball. So my big question I asked him was very appropriate for these times, but you're a phenomenal athlete, volleyball player, and you have to make the pivot to the real world, a career, a job. So he addresses that. And so with that, and whoa, he keeps on pushing me. Wait a minute. Coach Mark. Okay, he's. I didn't realize he was sitting behind me. Looked like he was praying for us. So with that, let's get on to the interview, and I really hope you enjoy this. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye. Hi, this is Peter Godinez, your community ambassador, and I'm here on Pepperdine University in the athletic department with my dear friend, Coach Marv Dunphy. So if you know volleyball, I really don't need to go into any type of introduction, so I'm going to just leave it at that. So we're doing these interviews, the theme is taking athletic volleyball skills, experience, and transferring them over to life experience. And life entails business, relationships, raising youths, and things like that. So just as some calisthenics, if I ask you the question, what are like the top 3 experiences in volleyball that you've seen with your players that are transferable to life?
Yeah, I would say it'd be hard for 3 because I think everything we experience in volleyball and sport, we also experience in life. In other words, sport is really a microcosm of society. And there's, along with that, there's good things and rough things and adversity. And and I guess just off the top of my head is that, you do the very best you can. And then either you're good enough or you're not. You learn from it. But the most important thing is you have to move on. And there's a how long principle. How long do you hang on to something that goes well? How long do you hang on to something that doesn't go so well? And in either case, it does no good because you have to be. We always say as coaches, we ask our players next play, and we're asking them to play forward, and we have to coach forward also. As an athlete, I think this sense of urgency is I see the elite athletes having this really neat sense of urgency. They're not perfect, these Olympians, these elite NC2A guys that I get to be around. But they do well in all parts of their day, and they know that as an athlete, you have a shelf life, right? And the foolish ones think they have all the time in the world to get something done in place. And the elite ones, they know it's not only about today, it's about now. And it's, this really neat sense of urgency. And they maximize, they don't hurt anything, they don't do anything to hurt their chances of winning, and they maximize their day. Prior to the London Olympics, right. Kobe Bryant comes and talks to the team. And I was with Karch and Hugh McCutcheon and the women's team, and I'm there, and the questions were good. It wasn't going to be him coming in top-down lecture. It was going to be Q&A, and it was great. And it was a lot of questions from the players were about pressure, because we were the gold medal favorite, and how do you deal with it? And he was talking about, hey, I've put a target on my back my whole life, and then he gave an example of one of his daughters having the lead role in Mary Poppins, but she wouldn't rehearse and she wouldn't practice. And he was, pushing her for some reps, right? And then he goes to the play and she nails it. And on the way back, the car ride back, he said, hey, didn't you feel pressure? How'd you do it? And this, that. And then finally she said, Dad, I had this opportunity. And then he went around the room and he goes, each and every one of you and us, we're going to London. We have this opportunity. We were ready to play for the gold medal match right then and there.
So it's very motivating.
Yeah, but then I think what I took away even more so than that is a lot of questions were about hey, we've been together now in Southeast Asia for 21 straight days, and here's this, we know everything we want to know and everything we don't want to know about our teammates, and how do you resolve conflict? And he said, well, you have to do it. And he gave some examples, but then he ended with this story. They're playing the San Antonio Spurs, and he said, I missed my first 11 shots. I can't use the language, but Steve, I think it was Steve Blake was this other guard, and he says, hey, you're shooting like this, and you're playing like this. And Kobe says, you're absolutely right, blank, blank. Now I know what it's like to be you every friggin' day. And but he said at the end of a couple minutes, they resolved it. And you, when you do that as a teammate, and then you go into life, you do that with, your spouse and a work partner, and you have to resolve it. And when you do, you feel better, and you just can't sweep it under the rug. I think we have to, in sport and in life, train to reality. So the military trains to reality because they have to. And I think we, in sport, we can't just do things that are easy in life. Or we can't make it easy for all the people around us, because we need to be tested.
Mm-hmm.
And the way to develop some confidence is to deal with some tough opponents,
Mm-hmm.
tough situations, and then maybe we're not perfect. It's like somebody in volleyball. If I throw you 20 easy passes and you get 18 of them, and I'm just lobbing them to you, good job, Peter, good job, good job.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden reality comes and somebody sticks it,
Bam.
right? Yeah, and how much have I helped you? But if you're able to get, if I give you the real thing, and you're able to get 7 or 8 out of 20, that should be the standard, and then you develop some real confidence in your ability to handle reality. So I like to keep things real. Adversity is going to happen. It's, we're using adapting right now, but here's the deal: adversity is going to happen. I keep saying sport and life, and I don't need to frame it that way, because we're just talking about both.
Yeah.
But and we have to embrace it, and because it's going to happen.
No.
And,
another A word that comes out is just having to deal with anxiety, because there's obviously anxiety as an athlete in life. It's that unknown. Are we going to win the Olympics? Talk to me. Look, I struck gold there.
well, unknown. It's the stress. I got to say this one more time.
Go for it.
In sport and life, is the uncertainty of the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And if you knew you were going to win, there wouldn't be much stress. If
Mm-hmm.
you knew you were going to lose, there wouldn't be much stress unless your job's on the line.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think what I think the really good coaches did, Bill Wallace and John Wooden, they took it beyond this win, lose, win at all costs, make the free throw, choke, whatever. And they made it about valuing the outlet pass, valuing your teammate, and character. And so then when they made it about character, they took it to a higher level, and their teams, their standard was perfection, because they played free. And I think that's a gift to be able to do that. And I think some leaders would maybe use fear, and I don't think fear is a great motivator. I think the very best motivation you could ever have is to truly inspire somebody, and make those individuals or their teams feel bulletproof. Where hey, some things aren't going to go the way, and so on and so forth. But it's kind of like for me, and I read this somewhere along the way. I apologize for whoever said it, because I don't remember. Yeah, but the positive doesn't guarantee, but the negative crushes.
Mm.
And boy,
Right.
I wish I knew where I read that. The thing I would say is expectations. If they're all process oriented, outcome oriented versus process. Yeah, like the Olympic Games. Hey, the U.S. People expect us to win. They expect us to win by a lot, generally, and that can take kind of like the joy out of it, and the joy out of life too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think so what I kind of did. Hey, we were the heavy favorite to win the gold medal when I was coaching, and we did. But I was focused on, hey, here's the pool play, here's the quarterfinal, the crossover, and then hey, let's compete for medals. And so we put it into segments, and I would encourage people to put it into segments, and not this burden that you carry around, and it's a weight if you're the expectations are too heavy. You got to focus on the task at hand and stay the course. So going back a little bit to goal setting, whether it's individual or as a team, and I think it's a little bit easier as an individual. I think team goals are tricky because everybody, there's these subgroup needs. They want the group to be good, but everybody wants it to be good for different reasons.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
you better know what buttons to push.
Something you'd said, I know who said this, it was you who said this, but you said the formula for getting a winning team is you usually have one or two superstars, and then
special players,
you make everybody else, the goal, functional. It's like you bring them up to the different level,
Yeah.
and then you have them coexist. Can you expound on that theory?
Yeah.
Maybe in life too.
Well,
Does
for
that
me,
make sense?
it's role clarity, and
Role clarity.
yeah, and I've said this every year. I would say, Peter, here's your role as I perceive it. It's mandatory that you accept your role as I perceive it. Otherwise, you can't be with us.
Okay.
Yeah, and your role can change based on this and that, and we'll do everything we can to help you. Start, make the Olympic team, make the university team, whatever they are. But it's mandatory that you accept your role as I perceive it, and then I put it onto you. Because a lot of times, what I find athletes, people, what they'll do is they'll just say, well, "What do I need to do to play? What do I need to do this?" And they're putting the monkey onto my back, and I'm teaching the coach now in my own family, right? I can't be weighted down with everybody's monkeys. And
No.
what I like to do is, hey, here's some general life goals, right? And then, for performance with the team, what are your technical, tactical goals? And maybe even weight or strength, whatever. But then what I like to do is identify all the positive things you have going for you. And then, you would come up with that list, I would. And then also, what do you feel are preventing you from going there? And then we would do like a top 3, top 5, and we would compare it. Are we on the same page here? And a little perception check, and then make up an action plan. Who, what, where, when, how. How do we know we have arrived there? And that's going down to break it into little parts. And you'd be surprised how often the perception of where they could go and what's going to prevent them is different from what I would see. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. If somebody knows that you care, let's say that once in a while I would dehumanize an athlete, or I would yell at an official, or I'd get upset, whatever. I could be a knucklehead, but if the people that are under me know that I truly care, that buys me some credibility, and because they know. Yeah, I don't have to be perfect as a coach if I care, but if I don't care and they know that, boy, and then there's like a little weak spot, they'll just hone in, and
Wow.
one of the other thing. I think that I'm okay with a group, but I'm much better one-to-one. And individuals never lose the desire to be treated as individuals. And I think I made most of my headway with that philosophy. The best thing about coaching is I get to choose people I go through life with. And I got this from John Wooden. Their lifelong, their joys are going to be my joys. Their disappointments are going to be my disappointments. And you don't go too far without good people. The character really makes the difference. And yeah, when it gets tough, character's kind of revealed.
It's easy to look up the word character in the dictionary, but how would you define character? I mean, what does that look like? I mean, what aspects, elements would you say are defined in that word?
People that do things right over and over and over, and in regardless of the circumstances, and they're considered. You know what? I think it's really easy for me to know what it looks like and feels like, and to be around it. And I think we're attracted to people of character.
Yeah. It's like a question in my mind that said, if Marv Dunphy had to say, I keep on thinking the top three things you think you've done well so far, because obviously you have success, but if you had to label the top three things, one of them I think you mentioned, so maybe I'm letting you off the hook. You showed that you cared. So that was one of the things you do well. So if I could ask for two more things.
Well, part of the way that you show you care is listening to people and reading them and listen. I mean, you show them some respect by seeking to understand where they are, and I think that's part of caring, a big part of caring.
Nope.
So what I like to do almost in all situations is that I like to let people go first and then try to stun them with the truth.
Yeah, you've used that technique on me a few times, and it works. I want you to know.
You just reminded me of something, though.
Please.
When you see teams that are successful, especially the pro teams, you see them in the locker rooms with champagne going everywhere and all this goofy emotion. And maybe you've heard me say this before, but what you really remember is who you did it with and how you did it. And then if you do win it all, it's this warm, lasting feeling that, hey, at this point in time, we're the very best at what we do. And then you don't have to, do all
beat
that
your
stuff.
chest and everything.
Yeah, and you know what, with just teams, whether it's a sport team or a business team, for sure, for me, for a sport team, those teams are unique. They're special. And you don't have to win it all, but it's something you may never experience again. And when you do win it all, I mean, that's something that in life, you're probably never going to experience that again. Well, those thoughts, I mean, these negative thoughts, they're going to come up all the time. And you better have a little mechanism or a strategy for dealing with them.
Wow.
And,
Toast me. It's right there.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.